take everything you know about video games, horror movies, and all that stuff and throw it out the window because this is different. This is scarier. It doesn't have jump scares, but it'll stick with you for days. That's how scary it is. You just wait till you see the ending. One night a woman was writing in a diary. She didn't know who the diary belonged to, but she found it on her doorstep. Each time she read a page, things around her started to get weird and scary. Let me explain. A very scary story that will give you nightmares. Let me start over. Do you ever feel like your life is boring or meaningless? I know I have. It seems like we're all just living on autopilot, doing the same things every day, without any real purpose or direction. We wake up, we work, we sleep, and repeat. It's like we're just going through the motions of life without truly experiencing it. But what if there was something more? Some hidden meaning to our existence that we're not aware of? What if there's a secret diary that holds the key to understanding our life's purpose? Imagine finding an old dusty diary in an antique shop, or maybe it was left by your grandmother. As you open it, you begin to read the faded ink of someone else's life. The more you read, the more you feel a connection to the writer. Their hopes, dreams, and fears start to mirror your own, and you can't help but wonder if there's a deeper connection between you and this mysterious individual. Could this be your life's calling? Are you destined to follow in their footsteps, or break free from the expectations society has placed upon you? What will you do when you find this diary? Well, this story is exactly about that. A young woman receives a package in the mail that turns out to be a diary. Every time she reads a page, strange things begin to happen. One entry leads to another, and soon her whole life is turned upside down. As the story unfolds, the diary reveals a terrifying secret that will change everything. But what is the secret? And how does the diary's final entry describe the woman's death tomorrow? Is the diary cursed? Why is it affecting her so much? Who wrote the diary? Where did it come from? These are the questions that keep her up at night. With each passing day, she becomes more and more obsessed with unraveling the mysteries of the diary. But as she gets closer to the truth, she also becomes more entangled in its web of darkness and danger. Will she be able to escape the diary's clutches before it's too late? Or is she doomed to become another victim of its sinister secrets? Stay tuned and find out. The rain was pouring down in torrents, drumming a relentless tattoo on the roof above her head. Amelia huddled deeper into her chair, pulling her threadbare cardigan tighter around her shoulders. The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows on the walls of her attic room, turning every creak and groan of the old house into a potential lurking monster. In her hands, she held a leather-bound diary, its pages filled with a spidery script that hinted at a dark and dangerous past. This diary had arrived in the mail a week ago, an unexpected inheritance from a great aunt she had never met. And ever since she had opened it, strange and terrifying things had been happening. She had tried to ignore it, to consign it to the musty depths of the attic. But an unseen force seemed to be compelling her back to it, forcing her to read on. With each page that she turned, the entries in the diary became more frantic, the handwriting more wild, as if the writer was being chased by some unseen terror. And then there were the dreams. Ever since she began reading the diary, Amelia had been plagued by nightmares, vivid, horrifying visions of a woman who looked uncannily like her, trapped in a suffocating darkness and pursued by a lurking, nameless evil. Tonight, Amelia knew she had to finish the diary. Curiosity, fear, and a sense of morbid fascination had propelled her to this moment. Now, with a trembling hand, she turned the final page, bracing herself for whatever revelation awaited her. The last entry began simply enough. Today the shadows grow longer, and the whispers in the night grow louder. I can feel his presence closing in on me, his icy fingers creeping closer to my throat. A chill ran down Amelia's spine. This must be about her cousin, whoever he was. But then, the tone of the entry shifted, becoming more desperate, more frantic. I tried to resist, but it's no use. He's here now, his eyes boring into mine, draining the light from them. My strength is failing. I can feel the darkness seeping into my bones, numbing my limbs, stealing my breath. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. The words on the page seemed to writhe and twist before her eyes, taking on a life of their own. Then she saw it, the date of the entry, tomorrow. Her own personal hell was starting tomorrow. And with a growing sense of dread, she realized that she was not just reading about her cousin's fate. She was living it. For as she read the final words of the diary, a cold, unseen hand seemed to grip her own throat, cutting off her breath and plunging her into an abyss of suffocating darkness. Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And now, let's go. Back to the video. You heard the last entry, right? Well, here comes the best part. As the final words of the diary echoed in her mind, a sudden commotion erupted outside. Shouts and screams pierced the night, followed by a heavy thud that shook the very foundations of the old house. Fear, raw and primal, surged through Amelia, propelling her out of the attic and into the darkened hallway. As she descended the creaking staircase, each step echoing her pounding heart, a sense of foreboding settled over her. Something was out there in the darkness beyond her window, something that had been stalking her, waiting for its moment to strike. Bursting through the front door, she stumbled into the overgrown garden, her eyes frantically searching for the source of the commotion. The manicured hedges and flower beds, once a testament to her family's pride, were now a tangled mess, harboring unseen horrors. As she ran blindly through the labyrinth of plants, she could hear the creature moving just beyond her sight, its presence a tangible menace. Then she saw it. Lying in the mud, amidst the weeds and thorns, was a torn and bloody doll, its lifeless eyes staring vacantly at the night sky. And as Amelia stared back, a horrifying realization dawned on her. The diary, the dreams, the lurking terror in the shadows. It wasn't just a story. It was her reality now. With a scream that tore through the night, Amelia turned and fled, racing away from the house and into the darkness. Behind her, the creature stirred, its malevolent laughter echoing through the silent night. And in that moment, she knew she was being hunted by the very darkness that now consumed her world. But that's not all. There's more to this story. As the story reaches its climax, the full extent of the diary's curse is revealed, leaving the reader both terrified and shocked. But it doesn't end there. The final twist will leave you questioning everything you've just experienced. Days turned into a blur for Amelia. She roamed the streets aimlessly, her mind fragmented, her senses dulled by fear and exhaustion. She couldn't remember how long she had been wandering, how many days or nights she had endured. Time had lost all meaning in this horrifying new reality that she now inhabited. Then, just when her hope had dwindled to a flickering ember, she saw it, a haven of light and warmth amidst the encroaching darkness. An old, weathered house stood silhouetted against the gray sky, its windows glowing with a welcoming amber light. With a surge of adrenaline, she stumbled toward it, desperation fueling her steps. This had to be where she could find help, where she could escape the clutches of the diary and the nightmare it had unleashed. But as she reached out to knock, the door swung open, revealing a scene that made her blood run cold. Sitting in a rocking chair by the window was an old woman, her eyes vacant and staring, her lips curled into a grotesque smile. And in her lap lay a familiar leather-bound diary, its pages open to the last horrifying entry. The diary was smiling at her, beckoning her with a silent, deadly invitation. In that instant, Amelia understood. This was no ordinary house. This was where the diary had led her, where her journey into darkness had brought her. She had stumbled into the very heart of the nightmare, and now the final page of the diary was being played out in real time. The creature from her dreams, the harbinger of death, sat patiently waiting for her return. With a scream that echoed her terror, Amelia turned and fled, racing away from the house, away from the diary, away from the inevitable end that awaited her. Behind her, the old woman rose from her chair, her eyes gleaming with a chilling light. She clutched the diary to her chest as she stepped out into the night, joining the hunt. Amelia dared not look back. She could hear the creature moving behind her, its presence a suffocating shadow. She could feel its cold, dead eyes boring into her back, anticipating the moment when it would claim her as its own. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The sounds of pursuit faded into an eerie silence. Panting, she finally allowed herself to turn around, her gaze meeting the vacant stare of the old house. And there, lying at her feet, open to the night sky, was the diary. Its pages, now torn and scattered, whispered their final terrifying message. "You're next.